Have you been thinking about making the move to Keene, New Hampshire? Well, I've helped tons of people relocate to the area, and even myself, I have actually relocated to Keene. I have not grown up in Keene. I grew up in New Hampshire, but I was about an hour and 20 minutes away from Keene my whole life. And in this video, I'm going to kind of tell you things locals wish they knew before they came here. Just little things that might catch you off guard or things you didn't plan for in a move to Keene. So let's dive into that right now. Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Shane Moynihan. I'm a local real estate investor and real estate agent based out of Keene, New Hampshire. And if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest around the area, feel free to reach out to me. Or if you're a little bit more serious about buying or selling, I do have a link below in the description to my calendar where you can book a free 30-minute call. We can get on, just speak about real estate, your needs and goals, and see how I can help you achieve those. So without further ado, let's get into kind of the things that surprise people, things you should know before moving to Keene. So one of the great things about Keene and kind of New Hampshire in general that you will notice coming from other states is it's a small town vibe. So even though Keene is technically a city, we only have I think it's 25,000 people in it. Correction, 23,000 people. So it is still a city, technically. It has a lot of things to do for a town in New Hampshire. So there's local farmers markets that happen, of course, local shops on Main Street going up and down. We also have regular shops like Walmart, Target, grocery stores, Market Basket, Hannaford's, all those good things. Local coffee shops, Brewbaker's one of my favorite. There's also one down on Main Street. I always space on the name of it, but it's Prime Roast. And they're also super good. So there's a bunch of things to do, but it doesn't really have all the amenities like a big city would have. So it doesn't really have any nightlife whatsoever. I mean, I guess here and there's one place that really tries to put on a lot of stuff called Bender's. That's supposed to be like a little club, but if you're going to actually go out for a night, you're probably going towards Manchester, maybe even Boston, depending on how much stuff you want to do. It's not we don't have crazy things. I was just in Nashville and we went to Topgolf. We don't even have Topgolf in New Hampshire. So there's just some things that our population's small. It's going to be the small town feel, which is cool. People say hi to you. You kind of learn who your neighbors are just from walking around in the neighborhood, and you get to see familiar faces kind of wherever you go. Next thing I want to touch on is kind of the cost of living, but really specifically the taxes with cost of living. So Keene being in New Hampshire, we don't have any state sales tax or state income tax. Now, with that being said, you get a break on that side of the taxes for sure, but we get really hit hard on property taxes. And it can be pretty alarming to people coming from other states, especially, I've said this before, if you're coming from somewhere down south, where property taxes are under $1,000 a year, maybe under $1,500 a year. That's not the case here. Depending on what house you're going to be looking for, where your price budget is, even for the lower price things in Keene, New Hampshire specifically, you're still going to see property taxes at least around, I'd say $6,000 on the lower end. And then of course, the bigger house you get, the bigger property tax bill you're going to get. So that's one thing I want to always mention when people are thinking about moving up here is it's super nice going into a store, you see what the price is on the shelf, you go to the register, you pay that price. You don't get any taxes. I like that. Again, I just went to Nashville. They have taxes. Confused. I don't like that. That's annoying. Up here, straight and simple, but you get a big property tax bill. So if you're moving from down south, maybe your taxes are $800 a year. Depending on what kind of house you buy, if you buy a really nice house here, it could be $800 a month just in property taxes. So that's one thing I think not enough people look into, especially taking that into account when you're looking at your monthly budget. Because yes, your mortgage might be $1,400 a month, but did you take into account the $600-700 a month of property taxes that you're going to be paying? Next thing we're going to touch on is seasons and weather. Now, this one isn't necessarily Keene specific, but it's New Hampshire. So we get all 4 seasons. Most people absolutely love that. I'm one of those people. I do love it. There's kind of so many different types of weather we get around here. Of course, winter being cold. Depending on the winter, we can get a ton of snow, or it can just be brutally cold and just really annoying. So in that, you're going to want to at least take into account, hey, I'm going to be heating my house. How old is the house? Are the windows updated? What efficiency is a boiler running at? Because you're going to be spending money on heating in the winter. During the springtime, everything's pretty good. I mean, it's not like we have anything crazy weather-wise that comes in spring. A lot of rain sometimes. So the biggest thing is if you're living on a dirt road, driveway's dirt, those might get muddy, a little wet and sloshy. Another thing I kind of skipped over in winter also has to do with this. Most of the time, you're going to need a car in New Hampshire to transportate. And most of the time, it's good if you're completely unexperienced in snow and stuff to get a car that has four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. So you're not going 20 miles an hour and everyone else that knows how to drive in snow is getting annoyed at you. So you want to be prepared for that. And then summer, we're right in it now. Hot. It's humid up here. We get a lot of humidity, but it's never like anything super brutal. Like, we're rarely touching the actual 100s. It might have the feel like temp of 100 with the humidity sometimes, but typically we're right around, like, I would say mid to high 80s in the summer. And then for fall, we have awesome foliage that brings a lot of people from out of state up here. We call them leaf peepers. They drive around all the nice roads and slow down our traffic once again. But we get nice fall leaf peeping. Of course, if you're looking to do New Hampshire, the next thing we're going to talk about is some things you can do in it to really benefit on those 4 seasons. So things to do, I'm going to talk about kind of Keene specifically again. So there's a couple bigger events that Keene has. One is the Pumpkin Fest that went away for a few years. It's coming back. Of course, local restaurants are always kind of doing things. I'm part of Keene YPN, which is a young professionals board, which puts on monthly events. There's a bunch of different kind of chamber, other types of charities that do events and have boards that you can join for community. Then you also have all the local restaurants, breweries, but there's also a ton of hiking around Keene. Not necessarily in Keene. There's some trails, some dam areas you can go to, but a lot of them are going to be outside of Keene. Mount Monadnock, the most hiked mountain in America, is about 30 minutes from here, depending what trail you go to. Great view. Go explore the fall foliage when that happens. It's pretty sweet. So there are things to do, but it's a lot more like I would classify as outdoor kind of enjoying stuff rather than like nightlife, hitting these specific places like, ooh, we're gonna go Top Golf, this bar, this club, whatever. I don't know. I don't really do nightlife, but whatever you do, there's not really that. It's more like doing things outside, having a cup of coffee at a coffee shop, things like that. And then last thing I want to touch on, being a real estate agent, is a little bit of the real estate and kind of the neighborhoods in Keene specifically. Because another thing with people moving up here, a lot of times, again, it depends what part of the country you come from. But moving up here, a lot of people don't understand the age of the houses. We were part of the first 13 colonies up here. There's a lot of old homes up here. I sold one a couple weeks ago that was not 19, wish it was 1760, I believe it was, around there, maybe 62, 1760s though. That's an old house. People don't understand that when they're moving up here. So Keene kind of has a variety of things. Of course, when you're closer to downtown, well, that's kind of where it started. So there's going to be a lot of big old houses downtown. A lot of those also have been converted to apartment buildings. So if you're looking really downtown, sometimes it's a little bit hard to find houses just because there's not as many, because a lot of them are used as rental properties now. There are still a lot of single families, but they just don't come up as much. When they do, they're a little bit older homes. When you kind of work your way out, you'll start finding a little bit more neighborhood areas. I'm up here in technically West Keene, where houses are a little bit more newer. A lot of these were put in like early 1900s, 1910 to like 1950s. A lot of these were put in. And then depending on how much further you go on the outskirts of Keene is kind of where you get the new developments, just because that's kind of where the land is left over. Like, you'll see a new house every now and then between all of the older houses, but usually it's like a new little subdivision starting up on the outskirts of Keene. And then if you're wanting new, it doesn't hurt to look a little bit outside of Keene. That's another thing you'll notice with New Hampshire. Just because you want to live in Keene doesn't necessarily mean you have to live in Keene. So like, you're always going to be driving around in New Hampshire. So if you can live on Swansea or Surrey or Stoddard, a surrounding town, not only will you maybe find better things, you'll have more options to pick from, but you might also find something that's a little bit more rural, a little bit more private out there. So it all depends what you're looking for. So those are kind of things I just wanted to touch on with Keene, New Hampshire, because I do help a lot of people relocate from out of state to or around Keene, New Hampshire. A lot of it's kind of southern New Hampshire, the Cheshire County area. That's mainly where I sell most of my real estate. So this is kind of the things I want to touch on. The biggest things that people get scared or a little bit worried about, I guess, is one, what to expect in the houses up here. Again, most of them are going to be old. I kind of understand them. You're not going to be finding level floors in some of them. It's okay. It doesn't mean they're moving. They've been here 250 years. Just because they have a little slant doesn't mean they're broken. And then also the property taxes. That's one I really like to touch on. And I guess also just understanding New Hampshire's a small town feel. Now, Manchester, Nashville, a little bit bigger cities, but Keene is classified as a city and it has 24,000 people, 23,000 people. So just keep that in mind when you're looking to make the move. But again, if you're really serious about it, feel free to click that link down below. Schedule a free 30 minutes with me. We can jump on a call, talk about your real estate goals, see how I can help, and see how we can actually achieve those together and get you what you want. So if this added some value, if you learned a little something new, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you guys next week with another video.